Welcome to Permission to Shine, the space where high-achieving women like you come to peel back the layers, overcome what's been holding you back, and rise into your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Sharice Bisram, inner power activation leader and intuitive healer, and a woman who knows what it means to look like she's thriving on the outside, also while feeling disconnected on the inside. This podcast is here to remind you, you didn't come here to just perform, you came here to lead with your soul. Your obstacles, they're invitations to expand. And your power, it was never outside of you. It's been waiting within you all along. Each week we'll dive into honest conversations, healing insight and soul-led strategies to help you stop self-sabotaging, reclaim your light and lead your life, your business and your relationships from deep-rooted truth. So if you're ready to rise with grace, softness and fire, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hello, my loves. How are you doing? How's your week been? I won't lie, I'm shattered. But it's because I have just got back from emceeing at the Wealthy Woman Conference, Wealthy Woman CEO Conference 2026. And yeah, what a beautiful but full few days. Obviously, when I'm emceeing, I'm like literally running around everywhere, which I love, to be honest. And obviously, if you know me well, you'll know that I do a lot of energy work. So I'm holding the energy of the room, you know, activating the women in the space and also priming the speakers, trying to keep to time with the running orders and stuff. So it's, yeah, a lot for me to manage. And I feel like post emceeing and actually post speaking and delivering in general, I feel quite exhausted. But I think that's normal, right? When you give your heart to something, after, that's where you kind of feel like you need time to sort of fill your cup back up again. So that's all of what I talk about, I know. Anyway, getting to the point of this episode. I was just thinking about how in the last sort of 12 weeks-ish, I've been to 8 events, whether that's, you know, speaking or talking or emceeing or whatever it is. And I feel like there's still a lot of stigma around the sisterhood wound. And I just want to debunk it in this episode because yeah, it grates my gears, grinds my gears a bit. And I just kind of want to reframe it in a way that hopefully gives you a lot of context around what it actually is and how you can move out of the pattern and the cycle that has been indoctrinated upon us. Yes, I am going there. So for me, I feel like the sisterhood wound, I believe, and this is fully my own interpretation, but I believe it's patriarchy. Yeah, I went there. So hear me out. I think that it's patriarchy because if we go all the way back to tribal times, women always gathered in circle, right? They always gathered in circle, whether it was the red tent for their menstrual cycles, whether it was the fact that a whole village raised families. And then we moved into like the modern age and then, you know, the industrial age and all of these things where women and men were in their own homes with just their family. And then either the men were going off to work every day, so they're sort of cutting connection with the other men. And then women are obviously in the homes. And then when we move forward to how the modern age, even further, like now times, where, you know, we do want equality and women do want to be paid the same and all the things, the system of patriarchy wants to keep women separate because women together are really powerful. You know, and I believe the powers that be know that. They know that when women are together in circle, in ceremony, or just in general together, that something really magical will happen. Because let's be honest, right? If women were the prime ministers and the world leaders of this world, do you think that we would have as much war, poverty, crime, and all of the things? Ask yourself that honestly, because I don't. And this is why, for me, I believe that the sisterhood wound is a patriarchal concept to, again, keep us separate from each other. Because here's the thing, right? A lot of when I'm hearing the talk of the sisterhood wound, it is about jealousy, right? And I'm literally holding my face right now because I'm like, jealousy is a human emotion. It's not just something women feel, it's something everyone feels, right? And so when we can normalize jealousy and actually take it off of being like this really scary or toxic thing, it's not. It's just a human emotion that we're all wired for. We're all wired to be jealous. And I believe, and I've said this before, that if we can take, jealousy as instead of being a negative thing, but more of an indication of where you would like to be, then that takes away the toxic maliciousness that comes with it, right? Now, I'm not saying that all the people that have done you wrong and at the core of it's been jealous are misunderstood. I'm not saying that at all. There are definitely some people that have malintent and it's not healthy and I don't agree with it. Okay, so just want to make that very, very clear. But when we're talking about how in the industry, for example, so let me say the coaching space, just for a caveat. In the coaching space, if you meet someone in the industry that is doing the same thing as you or similar, and then you start to feel them encroach on your clients or, act talk about you behind your back, whatever it is, if you feel that that is happening and you don't want to address it, that's fine. You accept it, you move forward. But what we can't do is stay tethered to that. And what we can't do is use it as an excuse. Because if we're going to accept that that's the way some people are, that's fine. We detach, we move forward, the end. Not causing you any loss of sleep. The other side to this is though, if it is really affecting you and it is a problem for you, we need to be able to conflict navigate, right? So if you feel that passionate about it, you should be able to have a conversation with that person to say, hey, this is really uncomfortable behavior. I don't like it. What is the solution to this? And it'll either be that you have a healthy conversation or you don't, right? But either way, if it's bothering you, there needs to be a conversation about it. Okay, so that's the caveat to it. And again, we sit on different paths with different people. That's fine. That's a very human thing again, right? So jealousy and then being able to have conversations around it are normal human emotions. What I hate is the fact that we tie that all into sisterhood wound. And we're like, well, she was jealous of me. That's the sisterhood wound. We've coined that. And that's not true, right? It's just humanness. I'm sure if you ask other men about that same situation, but put it to two men or, at work, was that a thing? They might say it's competition, right? They might say, oh, yeah, that's competition with another guy in the office or rah, rah, rah. So they're not saying it's the manhood wound. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just the same thing dressed up in a different way. And so when we take the power away from this wounding and this calling it the wound, it actually just becomes human interaction. Now, it is frustrating and it's not okay. And well, I don't even want to say it's not okay. It's just part of the process. And if you didn't have that interaction, you wouldn't see how far you're growing, right? It's all of part of this building blocks to growth. Now, I guess maybe we have normalized it because we see it all the time. But what I believe is true always is that rotting apples fall for themselves, right? They fall from the tree first. So you don't have to do any shaking all the time. But equally, if you want to, you are allowed to. And I think it just needs to be that. Like, if we take the power back into ourselves and choose and take action based on what we really want to do and what we really want to feel, that would take away so much of this ill intent, malintent, but also give you back the power for you. And so I guess I'm just really having a rant about it, but more so, I just want to be able to present you with that because I believe everything's a mirror, you know? And funny enough, I said this on the panel, we were talking about this at the conference, and every woman in the room has had some experience of that, right? Every single woman has had some experience of it. Like probably every man has, it's just been called something else, right? It's not just for women. It's just as women, we expect other women to meet us as we are meeting ourselves. But not everyone is like us. And my sister always used to say this to me, is that you expect everyone to treat you how you treat them, and that's your biggest downfall. And I agree. It has been for most of my life. And probably even still now, that will always mirror back to me in some form of a way where I've given too much to someone or maybe gone the extra mile and thought it'd be reciprocated. It might not have been. And again, that's on me. So I don't blame that person. I'm like, okay, yeah, probably went above and beyond there and I was expecting just something in return and it didn't happen. But I'm not going around saying that's a sisterhood wound. I'm just saying that, yeah, okay, I just overgave there. That's okay, you know? So I think that accountability is the key part here. Like where are we playing a part in this? And again, this also comes down to, for me, judgment versus observation. Now, we all like to have a chat about what we see, what we feel, what we hear all of the time. Especially as women, we love to have a chat. I don't like the word gossip because I wouldn't consider myself a gossiper. Don't get me wrong, probably have done in my time, but I'm trying to be more mindful of that. Now, any time someone else's name comes up in a situation, I will give my observation, but I won't give my judgment. And you can maybe someone else might say differently, but for me personally, I feel like when you're observing how someone moves, what they're doing, it's very different to saying like being judgy about it, and that's when we're inflicting our opinion and our own experiences onto someone else, expecting them to be doing the same things, right? It's basically like yeah, I mean, we all know what judgment is. I don't have to explain what judgment is. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a difference between saying, oh, yeah, I did watch that happen. Maybe not the way I would have done it, but I appreciate that, we're all different, we're in different spaces and we're all moving through things in different ways. And just that's that. Um, and this is a thing. I think that these types of conversations, again, are normal. And I don't want it to be like you can't go around judging everyone. What I'm trying to say is just be mindful of it and be mindful of who you say it to. And again, if someone else's name comes up in conversation and I give my perspective on it, you better believe I would tell that person to their face because I promise you I would. Now, I don't go out of my way to do things like that, but if someone came out of the blue and just said to me, oh, I heard that you said this about me, if I said it, I'll say yes. I will say, yeah, I did say that actually, and this is why. But if I didn't say it, again, I'll be honest with that and say that was not my words at all. That's not the type of person I am. And I feel like people know that about me. People feel the intent behind my words. And ever since I was a girl, I think, if you've been listening to this for a long time, you'll know that conflict has been something I've had to navigate since I was like 6 years old. So for me, I know how to have an argument. And if you come to me with something that you want to go to war for, I know how to end a war. And that's not a threat. That's not me being a psycho Leo. That is me literally just saying, like, I know how to diffuse a situation and I know how to end one. And I know how to conflict navigate. I'd say I've probably got a star in conflict navigation. And it's actually a massive part of what I teach my clients. And I think that that's the interesting thing because every woman that comes into my space has had some sort of experience of a judgment or they've been judged their whole lives and not trying to navigate what that looks and feels like for them. And I think for me, it's when we take accountability of our own actions and our part that we play in a situation, that is just the most beautiful space to be in when it comes to having those conversations because you can say, hey, I did say this. And actually, I was really annoyed that day. And it came out not in the way I wanted it to. So if you want to apologize, apologize. And if you don't feel like you need to, you don't need to. But at the same time, I do believe that apologies sometimes are the best solutions to a heated situation. So I guess really this is just to call a spade in this situation and say, hey, we've been using the term sisterhood wound for a long time now, but maybe it's not that at all. Maybe it's just humanness times the patriarchy times our own expectation of how we feel like people should be acting and being. And what I really, really, really want to hone in on here is that just because you've had a few examples of not being able to trust women, don't tarnish every single woman because of it. Because it's a bit like the whole man, if you're single and you don't like men, and then you're judging every man based on the men that you have dated or have been in their lives, you're missing in out. You're missing out on all these beautiful men that are around. And I never want anyone to think that I'm a man hater because I'm really not. But don't get me wrong, I have been in my time. And that's because all the men that were in my life in my childhood didn't support me, didn't show up for me, and didn't didn't give me that real masculine care that I deserved. It was only like I always say with my when my stepdad came into my life that I started to see there's some really good men in the world. And then the men that were in my family started to step up because my stepdad led the way. And that's been such a beautiful place to be in. And so right now, they're trying to create the divide again in the world with women versus men. And I saw a great piece of content from a male creator, and he's all about female empowerment. He always shares about like how as men need to be defending women. They need to be say calling their friends out when they're in the locker room or just saying things, and how sometimes it's not when there's like say a group of 10 men and they're all making jokes about women and all of the things, at least one of those in 10 men are going to be a perpetrator of some kind. So he's calling that out. And I thought that's amazing. And he said something really profound. And I was like, wow, this is so it. He said that his girlfriend has a weave and she was going to the gym, so she put a weave on, or she didn't have her full weave and she just put a quick one on. And he said that in those videos, there were so many women like coming for his girlfriend. And he was like, whoa. He was like, my content is all about supporting other women, right? And being there for women. But when we as women are quick to point the finger and judge not only men, but other women, we are the problem. Now, that is the epitome of what I'm talking about here, this patriarchal indoctrination of why we should not be supporting one another, And social media doesn't help because it's trying to portray this perfection and this glamour and all of the things that aren't real. Like, I'll keep it real with you. Like, right now, I'm recording this in my pajamas, right? And if you have a live call with me and it's before 10, I will be in my pajamas. In fact, probably before 11, I'll be in my pajamas. And I'm okay with that. There's no smoke and mirrors with me. I literally am full glam or completely homeless. There's no in between. That's what you see. What you see is what you get. And I'm exactly the same on stage as I am in person in Asda, wherever you get your food shopping. I'm the same person. And I think that all of this as well is my own interpretation of what I've seen over and over again. And yes, I obviously have been to 8 events this year so far in 2026, but I also was a professional dancer for 14 years and also, been a speaker for in this time as well. My whole life I've been surrounded by women. So I'm giving you that information. So the 34 years of my life, um, maybe I should say 30 years, because obviously for the first five, I wasn't really conduent. Is that the right word? Coherent is probably the right word, um, to that. But the older I've got, the more I've noticed it. And I feel like this is where all of this comes from. I'm collecting data always. My friend Emma, who's your spiritual reader, if you want to look her up, she does human design and she always says to me, you're a 5-1. So you gather information and then you teach it. So this is that. This is what this episode is. So if you don't agree with me, that's absolutely fine. And please challenge me. I would love for you to have these conversations because again, it's not conflict. It's like, okay, let's bring this to the table. Let's speak about it. Sometimes hurt people. Doesn't mean we should just call it a sisterhood wound. Sometimes it's just we weren't taught to trust one another. And that's what it comes down to. We weren't taught what real support looks like. And that's what it comes down to. And a lot of us weren't taught how to emotionally regulate. And so we pour out our own opinions and our own brokenheartedness onto the world when actually we took accountability for our own actions and ourselves. We wouldn't be creating more toxicity, mess, or malintent, you know? So accountability really is the answer here. And that's why for me, I love being in spaces with other women because I feel like I am so what you see is what you get, and people feel it from me, and people do trust me because of it. And this is why I believe I have absolute right to say I hold safe spaces because I call out the BS, but I also lead with an open and full heart, and I do make everyone feel safe when they're in my presence. And so that is it. So yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. Send me a DM if you have listened to this and you've got any questions about it, because obviously I'd love to have a chat about it. Um, and then yeah, so I'm actually thinking about, I haven't officially launched this again now, but probably in the time that you listen, I'm thinking about relaunching my Ignite Accelerator, which is the 6 calls. And I feel like there's a lot of wounds that are coming to the surface now. And I'm not talking about sisterhood wounds, I'm talking about our own internal patterns. Now we're in a situation where we have gone into the new astrological year. There's a lot of fire energy with the fire horse coming forward. We want to move forward, but we can't move forward on a foundation that doesn't feel solid. And so these 6 sessions are all about getting you back into your body in a place where you release out what no longer serves you and reclaim all of the broken parts of us that we've hid, we've run away from, the shame, the blame, all of those things, and we rebuild our inner world so that we can be the most confident, powerful woman that we know we are here to be, and embody that presence. That is for you. I am still formulating my unforgettable program as well. So if you are a woman that wants to speak on stage or start a podcast or has a mission and a vision that she wants to materialize into this world, this is for you. And it's going to be a group, a small, intimate group of women where we get to do the healing work and the rebuilding work as a group together online. Then we have a few in-person elements where we come together, we shed what no longer serves us through somatic movement and all the things that are my speciality. And then obviously the last piece is that we get to come together in person, we record our content, we have obviously a live audience of each other to support each other and get feedback. And then you walk away with something tangible. You can have the footage to show. If you want to record a podcast, there's an option there for the studio. Yeah, it's just a chance to really reconnect. And especially if, the sisterhood wound has felt like something you've been saying over and over again, maybe this is an invitation that something like this would be a beautiful step forward for you. So all of the details for that are in the show notes. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, it's time that we stop. We take the power away from that word, sisterhood wound, and we start to reclaim the fact that we're just human and that actually real, genuine collaboration with the women is going to change the world. And so let's lean into it. And like I always say, if you can't see the change, be the change. So send you lots of love. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please do like, follow and share with a woman that you know needs to hear these words today. The more women that get to listen, the more impact and change and transformation I get to make into this world, and the light in you shines on others. So sharing that forward is absolutely the mission of this. This is how we all give and get and receive the permission to fully shine. I also have some really incredible things happening this year. I'm hosting the second She Rises event in April. So if you want to find out more about that, click the link in the description. And I'm now newly launching my first ever group program that is called Unforgettable. And it's taking you from performing visibility to embodied authority. So whether that's host your own podcast or being on stage or being the leader of your field, and you're ready to fully embody this version of you that has this dream and ambition, that the limiting beliefs, the childhood experiences, the generational trauma that stops you and prevented you from fully stepping into who you came here to be. This is the space where we get to write a new story, a new chapter in your life. And I'm so excited to hold that space for you. And as always, if you're looking for one-to-one guidance and support, drop me a message, because there's always spaces available for you. I'm sending you so much love.